Hi, and bienvenidos. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the last 3 years of running progress. A lot of runners who tackle the marathon will do it for various reasons. Some for fun, some for the accomplishment, and others, like myself, who try to do it and to mark a legacy for themselves and for our families. I, for one, have various goals in which I want to accomplish in the distance of the marathon. One, of course, is to go as low as I can, hopefully overreaching the goal needing to qualify for Boston. We're going to be dealing with how we're able to progress in the future by understanding where we have been. So let's go ahead and take a look here in which I'm pulling up an old Map My Run log before I have switched to Strava. And I believe I held this for about a year before I made the switch. And right now, as you can see here, I started my journey as of October 2016, which I remember was when I was 224 pounds was my max. It was pretty high for me, considering that back in college I was in the 150s, low 160s. I was a pretty thin person, a lanky kid. So that was a lot of weight that I had on at the time. I started running just to kind of lose the weight. And so now that I'm looking at these logs here, October 2016, I put up about 15 miles for the month, so just barely about 3 hours. And again, I'm not going to go every single month here. I'm just going to go import all this data from October to essentially the end of 2016 so that we can see it in a nice visual here. And and to be honest with you, it actually shows quite a bit of a couple of reasons why I didn't do Disney so well. And my first marathon, which was at the Disney World Marathon, that occurred in January of 2018. And so again, you would think that, okay, well, with about a year and 3 months of training, you can get there, right? But decide to Google search how to train for a marathon, or or what's a typical marathon training plan. I just kind of went as is, kind of felt like, okay, I should be increasing this or that. I didn't really go based on any reading whatsoever. So I was completely the novice, the noob, didn't know what in the world I was doing. And now that I actually can put this into a graph, no reason why I thought my goal for Disney was, oh, let me go ahead and do a 4-hour marathon or 4:30 marathon. Now that I'm seeing here, I started in October of 2016, ran 15 miles, went up to 30 the next month. But then as you can see here, there was 2 months, there was nothing. January and February of 2017, 0 running. Then picking it back up. And then back in June, down to 3 miles for the entire month. With the experience that I've had in the last few years, yes, when you do a race, yeah, go ahead and give yourself that 1 week to potentially 4 weeks of rest, right? But when you're actually going through the training, giving yourself potentially 2 months off actually just brings you right back to where you were starting at square one. I'm looking here. I technically didn't start training until July, 16 miles, 24 miles, 28, 44, 47. Okay, so pretty good. I'm building my mileage. When it comes to the perspective of, are you ready to tackle on the marathon? 47 miles for the entire month is not enough. And definitely so when I think I was tapering. I really can't think too well at the time, but I'm assuming it was for this purpose. December 2017, 1 month before my first marathon, I logged 0 miles. Yeah, you heard it right, 0 miles. So I assume that I wanted to jump into the marathon with rested legs, but that probably would explain why it was so terrible. So again, in case you forgot on how well or how not so well my first marathon was, you can go ahead and revert at the end of this video. I'll make sure to put the tag on for that. I wanted to hit a goal, obviously in tackling a few marathons, but as far as mileage is concerned, I wanted to tackle in 1,000 miles, which I was able to achieve over the course of 162 hours of running. Take a look at the first 5 months of this year, 2018. You see there's a lot of variety, it's a little bit of sporadic running going on. High mileage weeks, then low mileage weeks, doesn't really look like it's building up like in normal hills, right? June of 2018, I signed up for the Chicago Marathon for October of that year. I did it through a charity, through the Multiple Sclerosis Society, and through one of the perks of going through that charity, they provided a free training plan and free coaching services. So I went through that, and you can tell just by looking at the week by week mileages how consistent my training turned, right? And so at that point, I can see consistency, how I was training for it, building up strength, building up speed, building up the mileage. The results of that race, you can see there's a massive improvement in my marathon race time. And now with 2019, more consistency, right? So in 2019, I took the majority of that year to devote to more training. I didn't have a race until October and November of 2019. So I essentially took an entire year for training purposes. And here I logged in 2019, 1,389 miles, 213 hours. So again, year over year, more miles, more hours, equated to a faster time. And the last thing I want to put here would be for where we are at 2020. Again, more miles is coming up, right? So I had another marathon at the beginning of March, which is why you see that cliff from February through March. Again, that's the resting period, and then building back up again. So only through the first 6 months of the year, I have already logged approximately 870 miles of training. So right now, I'm on pace to doing close to about 16 to 1,800 miles for 2020, which I'm seeing improvements, right? I'm seeing the consistency of year by year, learning from my mistakes, building upon the consistency, and of course putting in the cross training in between, so that way as you're getting faster, your legs are getting stronger to support that extra stress. We're gonna take it to the present in the next video, and we're gonna see where I'm at currently, 2020, so that way in the third video, in which I believe I'm going to plan to do it in a 3-part series, deciding what are going to be my goals for the upcoming races, or essentially what are my goals for the future, the next 6 to 12 months, next year to 2 years, and potentially what are my goals for the next 2 to 5 or even 10 years. So kind of think about that for now. What are your goals for the upcoming 12 to 18 months? What are your goals for the future? And we'll talk to you next time. Take it easy.